Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode, once more, today, of What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility. It's Wednesday. It's new review day here on the channel. Today we're going to take a look at, I believe it's the 21st studio album from this U.S. progressive rock band from Chattanooga, Tennessee. The band is called Glasshammer. The album is called Arise. Now, for those of you who have been following Glasshammer for a number of years, you might look at this album cover and think, well, that's a little bit different for them. That maybe doesn't look all that proggy. Looks kind of like space rocky or something like that. And you would be correct in stating that. This is a different album for the band. Steve Babb has been on a roll last couple of years, writing books and these big epic storylines, Scala Grim and At the Gate, the last couple of years, Dreaming City, these big, conceptualized things. And then Arise is no different. This entire concept here, all written by him. And it almost sounds to me like Steve is like coming up with like late period. His creative juices are just flowing ridiculously at this point. So it's good to see. And in a way, I know there are some longtime Glasshammer fans who maybe aren't 100% on board with the style of the music over the last couple of albums because it's kind of veering away from what we have known to expect from Glasshammer over the years, which is that, very symphonic, yes-sounding, progressive rock, big vocals, big bombastic keyboards, tasty guitars, all these, fantasy-tinged lyrics and things like that through albums like Lex Rex and Shadowlands and Corcodium and, Chromonaut and On to Evermore and Chronometry and all that stuff. I mean, these are all great albums from them over the years. And all of a sudden, these last handful of albums, these last few albums, we're seeing a shift away from that to like different sounds. The albums that came out all about the Scala Grim trilogy, very heavy and dark, very different. Maybe much more guitar we've ever heard from the band before. A little bit less of the bombastic classic prog sounding keyboards. Well, I would argue that they continue on this journey with Arise, but really not so much like that. But they're moving in. There's lots of space rock and like ambient touches here, but there's also some heavy moments. And there's also some moments on this album where it takes me back to like early 70s, like European prog and some of the sounds of the Italian bands and whatnot, a little darker, right? Very interesting album. So let's take a look here. So we got the cover artwork, not much on the back there, and then you open it up. Additional art there. Pop out the disc. There you've got this guy in his spacesuit, right? And then the booklet is located in one of these little things, right? So you got to kind of go and get that out. Speaking of the booklet, here we go. More artwork, full lyrics, and almost like little explanations of all the songs and whatnot. So like if you see like Astra, Arise, Statement from Astra, Advanced Space Technology and Research Agency, harnessing the powers of celestial rift anomaly, Mars WRM-001 Android Arise ventures to deep space, unraveling cosmic enigmas and pushing the boundaries of exploration. Our audacious pursuit of knowledge shall illuminate the universe, leaving an indelible mark on the annals of cosmic understanding. So yes, very science fiction, spacey stuff here, played by the band, and that includes Steve Babb on all keyboards, rhythm and lead guitars, bass guitar, percussion, and lead vocals. Hannah Pryor, Hannah's worked with the band on the last couple albums, on lead vocals. Reese Boyd, lead and rhythm guitars. Randall Williams on drums, with Fred Schendel guitars and drums on one track. Or not on one track, but drums. It says drums on Wasp 12. So that is... Okay, that's riffed at Wasp 12. Okay, so it plays drums on one track. What's really interesting here is that it says with Fred Schendel. Normally, Glasshammer is the Steve Babb and Fred Schendel show. Always. From the beginning. Usually Fred plays the million keyboards, some guitars, right? And Steve usually does bass, vocals, keyboard, a little bit of keyboards, maybe some guitars here and there. But to me, this album almost sounds like a Steve Babs solo record. Not necessarily a bad thing at all. He's handling all the keyboards on this album. Does a really good job on them, you know. But when after I gave this like a first pass through before I looked at who's on here and everybody who's playing, and I was like kind of shocked to see that Fred is playing no keyboards on here, doing a little bit of guitar and drums on one. So I'm guessing Fred didn't have a lot to do with this album. That's why it's so heavy on the Steve thing. And like I said, Steve wrote the whole thing, all lyric, story, and text by Steve Babs. So he is just, as far as writing goes, lyric writing and conceptual stories, he is on a roll the last couple of years. And Hannah's vocals are really well. At least she's a nice fit for the band. So what do I think about the album in general? Like I said, it is, once again, showing Glasshammer going off into directions that are a little bit different than what we would expect. And I guess at this point we have to expect the unexpected from them in these latter years, because they seem to be from album to album here the last couple of years just doing different things. And I think that's a good thing, right? For me, they've got so many albums. They have a lot of albums that kind of fit into one little bracket, and they're great. I love them, but it was time for a change, I think, and I think the band kind of understood that and realized that. So here you have some interesting things here. Most of the songs are fairly short on the front half of the CD. So you've got Launch of the Daedalus, Wolf 359, Arion 18, Delphini B. I mean, all these strange song titles, right? Mare Cineum, Lost, Rift at Wasp 12, Proxima Centauri B, Arise, and then Return of the Daedalus, which is a 3-part epic at just under 17 minutes long. Quite frankly, for me, the back end of the CD is really strong. That's where the kind of spirit of everything here comes out. You got, all these like really short little tracks. Some of them are kind of rocky and space rocky. There were all these little mini like tracks on the previous couple of albums that they would throw in, almost sounded like Tangerine Dream, Hawkwind type stuff. These little like 1, 2, 3 minute long pieces that would go in between the longer tracks on the last couple albums, which were weird because they almost kind of like didn't fit. And I remember I was talking to Ken Golden about this. It's almost like, listening to those last couple albums, you would hear these little pieces and like thinking, it's strange that they're throwing these in here. I wonder if that's something that they're going to move into going forward. That's kind of what we're getting here. I'm not going to go out and call this a space rock album, although there is plenty of space rock on here. It's very sci-fi oriented. There's a lot of cool keyboard technology giving you all sorts of weird blips and bleeps and things like that. Hannah's vocals are very, very well done. Steve sings a bunch on the album too as well, so you get the back and forth male and female vocals. Really, really well done. Wolf 359 is a really good track. I like Rift at Wasp 12 is good. But for me, it really starts with the title track, Arise, which is just under 12 minutes long. That's very, very cool. Really cool space rock. It rocks in spots, too. Some good guitar work. A lot of good lead guitar work on here. And then, for me, Return of the Daedalus, which is pretty much an instrumental. 3 parts, near 17 minutes long. I mean, that reminds me of, like, early 70s prog. I mean, there's some great like Hammond organ and Moog touches on here. Really good guitar work. It's dark. It's menacing. It's kind of spacey, but I'm thinking some of the maybe the darker. Well, not that you can call the Canterbury stuff dark, but some of those bands, like Egg and National Health, some cool stuff in there. I'm hearing some like Italian prog, some of the darker like PFM and Bonko stuff. From an arrangement perspective, there's definitely some certain like old Genesis elements going on here. Very, very cool stuff. I like this. It's this, but I will tell you right now, this is not an album you're going to play once and be like, okay, I totally understand it, grasp it, get it. For me, it's taken me like 3-4 listens before I'm finally starting to say, okay, this kind of all makes sense. But it's definitely very dense. There's a lot going on here. And the band is taking you to all sorts of places that they've never taken you before. And like I said, I'm assuming that most of this is being driven by Steve Babb. He's obviously wanting to start to mold a new appearance for Glasshammer and the way their music is perceived and the way they're delivering it. And I'm all for it because I think, with such a long discography and kind of doing what they've been doing for so long, I think it was a good time to change things up a little bit. I will say, Hannah, great singer. If you guys like female vocals in progressive music, you've come to the right place. So yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. Glasshammer, Arise, check it out. I'm still digging it, still digesting it. This is going to be one of those albums, I think, that is going to have to be just constantly in rotation and repeated over and over and over again until like all the little nuances kind of really come out and make their appearance known to you, right? For lack of a better term. So yeah, I love the cover art. I think it's really, really cool, and this really exemplifies what you're in store for on this album. So check it out. Glasshammer, Arise. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. All together, all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell to get alert of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Also down below, we get the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, our merch page, and our Cameo page. So thanks in advance for all your support there. We'll see you soon here with more stuff. I'm Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.